and then I criticized the audience for not having drugs.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Well,
that's the last time I was at the Highline. That was a couple years ago.
I mean, shame on them going to a rock show.
Our audience would never be that lame.
Yeah.
You know what?
I did end up finding drugs. A roadie gave me this rot gut cocaine that he'd probably had sitting at the bottom of a guitar case for 15 years. I don't even know if it was cocaine. It was probably ground up old underpants.
Okay,
maybe it was ice.
Andrew,
I have to say that Highline Ballroom is the kind of place where things tend to go weird like that. We
walked on stage during Simian Mobile Disco.
Yeah, we totally crashed the stage.
But we just we were.
But
just
we're pals with them, so we just went and we were like their posse. In
Actually,
the
I think Thursday night we might walk on stage during your show.
You're more than welcome to.
And ask for
demand some
coffee.
vegan treats.
We want tofu. Does anyone have tofu?
Tofu.
If you don't have tits, you're not getting on stage.
Okay, well,
unless you're a member of the band.
So
we all kind of have nice.
Yeah, we even us kind of meet that qualification.
Well, you got to establish your hard rockingness before you guys do the MTV Unplugged thing.
Maybe we should just start with MTV Unplugged.
Maybe.
Maybe you should have another band.
Sitting on a stool while trying to rock is kind of a rock violation.
Oh, and the worst thing ever invented in the history of music, the acoustic bass.
The acoustic bass. And I was going to say the acoustic pickup.
Yeah, acoustic pickups. But
that created a lot of...
Whenever you see sort of the struggling older metal band and the bass player with the... I've got no hair, so I'm allowed to say this, but the bass player with the thinning hair playing his sad acoustic bass, doing earnest renditions of their 1987 hit that was never really a hit to begin with.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that as bad as a 5-string bass?
It's as bad as a 5-string bass. It's worse.
Wait, why is a 5-string bass bad?
Because it's just, it's unnecessary.
Yeah, it's
pretentious.
What's your stance on the
If you
keytar?
can't rock with 4, you suck.
Keytar, right?
Yeah, keytars they've gone through they've run the gauntlet, and now keytars are fantastic again.
We've actually pitched an idea.
Keytars are back in a big way.
To write an article about keytars.
Well, I think Yamaha just made a new keytar. Everyone was collecting them like crazy because they were oh, it's kitschy, it's funny, but there's actually new ones on the market for the first time since.
Our friend BA does video projection triggered by her keytar.
Really?
And she works with a lot of great bands.
And she made the video for.
And she made our amazing video.
It's called Storm the Fucking Castle.
We love that video.
Well, thank you. It's very expensive.
No, I'm. Yes.
No.
No?
No. It was, I mean, she and our friends Masha and Ashley made a video in their living room, and they worked very hard on it. I love it because it's such...
Thank God they had such good talent to work with.
Yeah.
It's sort of like Dolly Parton.
If it wasn't for us.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Dolly
it's
Parton
totally
takes
Dolly
a lot
Parton.
to look
takes a lot of money to look this cheap, that kind of thing, yeah.
So how did the band evolve, or how did it start? Is there a myth behind the band?
There's a myth. The myth is, Phil and I we've known each other for a long time. He used to be in the Barry White Boys and Satanicide, and I've been making my own records for a long time. And we met in rehab, and while we were in rehab, we only had one cassette, and it was a cassette of Aerosmith, Toys in the Attic, and we listened to it over and over again, and we sort of made a vow to each other that when we get out of rehab, we're going to start an early Aerosmith, AC/DC, Motley Crue inspired heavy metal band. Well, because we cover the whole gamut of metal, from metal ballads, parking lot metal, hard metal, less hard metal,
dark metal,
soft metal.
The one thing we don't really have is dark metal. We got a lot.
We need some dark and
also,
more death.
I would imagine death metal, because death metal is actually post. Or black metal, right? Black metal, is that the thing where they burn down churches?
In Norway, and Norway does it.
They kill goats.
Negative.
Black metal and death metal. The problem with black metal and death metal is if you commit to it, you've basically given up any chance of ever getting laid.
Well, also, don't you
you're done. You're just going to spend your entire life sitting in your mom's kitchen, going online
and criticizing other bands that are awesome like us.
Yes,
but isn't part of that whole scene that you have to commit suicide at some point? You
have to kill one of your bandmates, eat his brains.
Yeah.
And then
there's really not much of a future being that sort of a band.
Under the watchful eye of the baleful goat lord.
Holy shit, we are fucking awesome.
Was that the first time you've heard this?
No, we've heard it plenty of times. I'm just always amazed at how good it is.
These speakers are really good too.
These
And
are
also being with you guys makes everything sound better.
well, that's true. It makes it taste better too.
So
I don't know if you've. It's a weird phenomenon.
That coffee I just had was a really fine cup of coffee. You're
You
right.
know, I have to say that there's a real benefit to being right next to Little Frankie's because we can,
Not a sponsor.
pizza in a second,
And the
not a
tattoo parlor.
and the tattoo.
And now, actually, this little area, because this used to not be such a nice area, now it's all like, it's like Sesame Street for grown-ups.
for
So you
like for rockers.
Well, they've got the 2 juice places right around the corner. Mm-hmm. All those restaurants on First Street. The little tattoo parlor, the Hindu yoga studio. It's becoming a vegetarian restaurant.
which is new. It's a whole new complex.
Kitchen supplies,
This is
Oh, yeah,
you're right.
good
This
kitchen
is kind
supplies.
of like a utopia right
tranny
here.
waiters across
Yeah.
the street.
Do they still have that?
Don't they?
I think they do.
Do you know I DJ'd there when it was called Cave Canem in 1989? Did you ever go there?
No.
They had a basement that had been a sex club, and they turned it into sort of a less
Sexy
sex club.
Yeah.
People still had sex there, but it wasn't as sanctioned.
Right.
That was one of my first DJing jobs.
They also, I have to say, the Ortiz
Funeral home?
the funeral home across the street. I've seen the most awesome funerals going on over there.
Yeah.
Like the best floral arrangements, and also like total circle of life moments, like where you see like Puerto Rican kids, like
people reenacting The Lion King.
Yes.
no, like kids playing outside of the funeral home, and it's so like that circle of life, like someone's no longer with us, but these children are like happy
How long-
and jovial.
And they'll be
That's
dead
deep.
soon.
And they'll be dead soon.
How long have you lived in New York?
Oh boy, it's a good question. It just makes me feel old because I was born here.
You're like, that's a good question because I'm not really sure.
So basically, for the last 44 years.
What's the first DJ gig you had in New York? Can
My
you remember?
first DJ gig was DJing a swingers party.
Wow.
Like like a key party.
No, it was somewhere I don't even.
Or you mean for Swingers the movie?
No, swingers as in like fat secretaries meeting up with the men who love them to randomly have sex. So that
Okay.
was one of my first. It was someone had rented they would rent a loft, and once a month, I think it was called like Friends Love Friends, like a really innocuous swingers name. And somehow I got invited to DJ, and I think they paid me $25. But I was so excited because I was 20 years old and I was finally DJing in New York.
This is what people did before MySpace.
Had rented lofts and had
Yeah.
swingers parties. I think they still do that.
Right.
I once tried to find a swingers party back when I drank, and I was stumbling around this building looking for a swingers party, and I asked the guy at the front desk, I said, is there a place called A Touch of Class here? That was the name of the swingers party. And he said, no, this is an NYU dorm. And,
Wow.
then a bunch
And
of
your
the kids,
point is,
and then a bunch of the kids wanted autographs.
Is this available for purchase like on an online music
these are
store?
all free on our Facebook presence.
What's your Facebook page?
Our Facebook presence is facebook.com Diamond Snake Rocks.
Diamond
Nice.
State Rocks. Great.
I love how
Yeah.
nobody can have their actual name
No,
on
our-
Facebook
our-
or MySpace. It always has to be
It
like
was
Diamond
taken.
Steak the movie or like,
I think a 12-year-old Australian girl took the name Diamond Snake for
Yeah.
everything, so we have to be Diamond Snake Rocks, which is appropriate because we do.
right.
You do rock.
You do very heavily. And I like that you guys met in rehab. I think that's a really killer story. And you know what? I heard that there was an AA meeting somewhere like near Chelsea or in there's some AA meeting that's like a real like power network. AA.
That's in L.A. I think that's
Is that
Really,
in LA?
you have no business asking us about our fellowship.
Oh no, I'm not trying to get in. I wouldn't give up drinking for all the fame in the world. But no, I've heard that this has become a thing because it's like all the hard
That's Scientology
partiers,
too, I think.
the people that used to like rage and like they would.
That's
network
World of
that way
Warcraft.
are
I do
now
know, apparently, World of Warcraft.
That's World of Warcraft.